Hey everyone, TJB Chris here, and we're doing something a little different on the channel. We've got an MS-DOS machine we're going to talk about. I know I don't do a lot of DOS machines on the channel. I have them, but enough other YouTubers do them better than I do, I think. But I have these machines, and I just got this one, the Tandy Multimedia PC, specifically the MMPC Model 20, making its debut in the 1995 Radio Shack catalog. And actually, it's a little better than its older brother, the MMPC Model 10, in that it has local bus video. Otherwise, it is pretty much the same machine. This is a 486 class system. This particular one has 16 megs of RAM and a 486 DX4100 overdrive processor in it. But TJB Chris, you're asking yourself, didn't this thing come out after Tandy left the business? After all, they left the computer business in 1993. Well, yes, that is a very astute observation. However, we're going to go into whether or not this machine is or is not a Tandy machine. And in my typical fashion, I'm going to do that in an over-the-top way that also involves me experimenting with software and chroma key. So it gets a little long, and if you really don't want to sit through me being a jackass on camera, skip to here, and we'll just get it right into this machine and we'll talk about it a bit, and I'm going to demo it out. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the following segment where I debate myself as to whether or not this machine is a Tandy computer. Coming up, a look at our top story. The whiskey you're drinking has been pissed in. But first, it's time for our weekly debate segment, Count Pointer Count, with your host, TJB Chris. The whiskey-sipping, free-thinking, contextualizing pontificators among us would have you believe the Tandy Multimedia PC Model 20 is among the grand legacy of systems in the pantheon of Tandy computers. But it's here, lost in their own grandiose professions of finality, ground in murky context, that they find themselves back in the realm of fallacy. The Tandy MMPC Model 20 is no more a Tandy PC than is this commentator, a more famous YouTuber. Rather, the circumstantial facts surrounding the MMPC Model 20 are so obvious as to be invisible to the free-spirited, whiskey-swilling pseudo-intellectuals seated to my left. No more than a common calendar proffers to us a stark reality. Tandy, having sold its computer manufacturing and R&D divisions by mid-July of 1993, had long since transitioned to nothing but a retailer of PCs by the time of the MMPC Model 20's appearance. The system debuted among a plethora of transitional offerings. Branded Tandy and AST in August of 1994, contained most obviously in the upcoming 1995 Radio Shack catalog. Naturally ensuring those so oblivious to the obvious would not find the latitude to dissent, under the guise of limited context, this commentator has amassed additional ammunition much to the affront of his Glencairn chugging counterpart. Gone from the MMPC Model 20 are Tandy-specific cases, power supplies, and floppy drives like the ones found in genuine Tandy systems. Rather, beyond the facade of pre-formed plastic purposely produced to provide the illusion of something grand, lies the conglomeration of off-the-shelf, generic, and otherwise unremarkable components. And we mustn't fail to recall, the very same system finds itself beyond the comfortable context of the Radio Shack catalog with a slightly modified brethren of undeniably inauspicious branding, the AST Advantage Adventure 213. Even among those whose commitment to obliviousness of thought cannot be equaled, we must rightly be willing to see the MMPC Model 20 serves as a grand illusion, masquerading as a Tandy, while itself being nothing more than an AST. My tan and tarnished counterpart has once again displayed his uncanny ability to demonstrate his own myopathy, expressed in such a grand manner as to have proven only one undeniable assertion, that he offers only those rivulets of thought which may be reached via a single leap onto his jump to conclusions map. The subsequent calculation construed as a consequence of a lone directional reorientation of his wine-laden cranium toward that square which demands the least effort to bring into view. As the purveyors of his varietal vestiges would most assuredly agree, the pairing of calendar dates to one's conclusion requires careful consideration be given to the events occurring before Tandy's departure from the computer business, as well as those occurring in the subsequent. One must recall that while the name embossed on the door did indeed read AST, that very same door did indeed find itself emblazoned Tandy, whose intelligentsia ultimately designed the MMPC Model 20 prior to the AST transaction's inevitable conclusion. Tandy's influence on the system's origin ceases not at the factory door. Within Tandy's purview, too, were the designers, engineers, technicians, assistants, and other employees crucial to the production of a computer system. The more skeptically inclined would only be demonstrating their omission of the fact that these systems, designed in Tandy facilities and manufactured in the same now former Tandy facilities, contained every hallmark of a Tandy computer. Part numbers adorning circuit boards conform to the Tandy standard. Labels affixed to components such as power supplies and vendor-provided hardware also find themselves printed with Tandy-style part numbers and barcodes. Powering up the MMPC Model 20 reveals yet more evidentiary affirmation of my wine-sipping equivalence folly. Tandy's standard Phoenix licensed BIOS finds itself burned within the system's firmware, complete with Tandy-style setup program found on systems none other than Tandy, not produced by a competitor. Cursory examination of that BIOS and its strings reveals the words Tandy and TE Electronics. It must only be stressed to those whose dwellings reside under sedimentary derived crag that AST did not, with its acquisition of Tandy's computer business, retain the right to use the Phoenix BIOS on new designs. This alone belies the assertion of the MMPC's roots as anything but a Tandy computer. The transition to generic power supplies, floppy drives, and case materials lends credence not to the transition to AST, but the late 1992 introduction of Tandy's build-to-order program as seen in the 1993 catalog. This commentator invites his counterpart to indulge in another sip of his stupefying nectar. Given the shellacking to his myopathy of fantastic conclusions, its effects will be desperately needed. The Tandy MMPC Model 20 is a Tandy computer. Thank you. A topic worthy of consideration. Now on to our top story tonight. According to the American Association of Urine and Bourbon, more than 23%. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little self-debate with a couple of references thrown in there. Actually, that whole thing was based on a couple of references from two movies, a movie and a half. So either way, let's take a closer look at the MMPC Model 20. And as you probably can tell, I'm in the school that this is technically a Tandy computer. So even though it came out after Tandy was not the biz. So we're going to take a closer look at it. You know, we have a pretty generic case. These oversized Tandy badges were common. They were even starting to be common on the machines that were showing up before Tandy was leaving the biz and on the way out. And I think part of that is the badges here were often used for, on the build-to-order systems, they would customize them. So it would say, you know, Tandy 425SX, and they would put for Bill, you know, or whatever. This machine would not have come with the really high-quality enhanced keyboard. Tandy was using crappy membrane keyboards by that point for pretty much all the machines, so that was it. This monitor here is borrowed from the 2500 SX25, which is borrowing the RLX's monitor. And taking a look around this side, of course, we have fairly standard Tandy case, and these actually look quite similar in style to other Tandy cases at the time, but it's a pretty standard pizza box desktop PC. Let's take a look at the back. So taking a closer look at the MMPC Model 20, here you can see we have our pretty standard Tandy style label. And one thing you'll notice with this is that the custom manufactured text used to just, you know, custom manufactured in the USA by Tandy Corporation. And for these machines that kind of bridge the gap, they just chopped it. And that actually is one of, for me, one of the big indicators, like old Tandy factory, old Tandy labels, old Tandy everything, is they just chopped off the by Tandy Corporation and they left it. The rest of it's pretty buck standard Tandy. The MMPC Model 20, by the way, differs from the 10 in one major way. It's the same motherboard, but this one supports local bus video. So and this is your standard 486 class system, 486SX, but upgradable. This one actually has an Overdrive 100 in it. Taking a look at the ports here, we have a pretty good mix of PS2, keyboard, a couple of serial ports. We've got a parallel printer port and, of course, a VGA port. This machine did come with a sound card and a CD-ROM drive controller for that CD-ROM drive. It also has a hard drive in it. We'll take a closer look at that. And then if we get ourselves over to the power supply here, you can see we're pretty bog standard. There's not much here. Switchable, regular, I think it's an Aztec, but we'll probably be inside of it at some point, so we'll take a look. But that's pretty much it. There is a fair amount of overhang on the case over here. More so than I would expect. It's almost as though the case was designed for the older Tandy chassis, and they just kind of threw it on these things. And you can feel the overhang. It's unnatural. So that kind of is reminiscent of old Tandy case. So that's pretty much the back of the thing. It's like I say, it's a pretty bog standard machine. So let's get it powered up and see what it does. I was wondering what the fan sound was in the background in here. I also got a Tandy 3000 NL that I've been working on restoring. And this video is not about that, but it's doing a memory test. It's got 1.5 meg of extended memory that is flaky. So I'm doing an extended test to check it. It's funny, after it warms up, it doesn't fail the high memory test, but when you first power it up and it's cold, it does. So I imagine I just have a bad DRAM in there and I've got to isolate it. But either way, that thing's doing a couple of passes at a RAM check. Tandy 3000 NL, you'll see it later. And here we are, sitting down at the MMPC Model 20, and I even went to the extra length and set up the capture device. So I spoil y'all for a tiny channel. I've been doing more of this. It's been it's feature creep, folks. It's feature creep. Well, either way, we got all the tech. Let's make use of it. So let's flip over to the capture device, power up the machine, and let's hope the capture device actually works. This will be the third try on this goddamn thing. There we go. StarTech capture device is okay, but it ain't best. Okay, and I haven't played with this much. Okay, well, we clearly have a hard drive, but no operating system. Let's check. So we do have a hard drive. See what we haven't set up here. I did set the date and time. We got 16 megs of memory, floppy drive, got refresh settings, sorry, for the video display, mouse enabled, setup and ROM, energy saving, which I think just spins down the hard drive, might pop the display off. COM 1 and 2 enabled bidirectional, yeah, nothing really to change here. Your standard, by the way, in this being a Tandy computer, this setup program is why this is a Tandy computer. This is a Tandy only setup program. It only appeared on Tandy machines, and this is a Phoenix BIOS, which, as far as I know, AST did not get the rights to use when they bought Tandy's manufacturing and R&D. That's why you started seeing other BIOSes in there, even in the machines made in Tandy, former Tandy plants. So, and the date, it predates the sale. So the sale was in mid-July 1993. So that's that. So we're going to escape to exit, invalid partition table. Okay, so it just so happens that to make sure that we didn't have any problem, I found online on archive.org the CD-ROM restore disk. So I have my very official restore disk here, and I have my very official MS-DOS 6.0 boot disk with CD-ROM drivers. And I did that because in poking through the disk, it's an MS-DOS 6.0 disk. So let's pop this disk in, give you the reset. And for the boot disk, I stole oakcdrom.sys from a Windows 95 boot disk because it supports this controller. And if you can get it to work, it's by far the most flexible. There we go. Okay, so this is what I've got on my disk here. Now, let's take a look and see what we've got for the hard drive. And I love that sound. This hard drive has that spinning disk sound. I don't have many of those. I have another disk. This has a little utility on it. Let's see. This is hardware info. So we're going to take a look at the machine here real quick, see what we've got. I imagine whomever had it probably just nuked the partition table. All right, let's go OK. And we're going to jump to the drive info and we'll come back. Okay, eIDE device, okay. Enhanced IDE, 3093 megabytes. Okay, so we have a 3 gig drive. The BIOS in this is not going to recognize all that, so you're going to get capped out at, 500 megs or so. So we're not going to want to do that. That means that I'm going to have to put the XT-IDE universal BIOS in this before we continue. Okay, fine. We'll do that. I have a 3C509 card floating around, and I think I've got a 2764 EEPROM floating around, so I can set that up. What else do we have here? Video info. Ooh, it's got the upgraded RAM. These came with 512K of video RAM. It's got a meg. That's real nice. Cirrus Logic, CLGD5426, pretty common in Tandy machines. True Color VESA support, true. Visa, VESA, however you say it. Okay. Taking a look at the rest of the system mainboard info. We got a custom computer named Tandy. BIOS manufacturer, Phoenix Technologies, 52593. Okay. So, honestly, 8087, yeah, that ain't right. So this machine is a 486SX machine on the board, but it has an overdrive processor in it. So we'll take a look inside, but it actually has a 486 DX4 100 overdrive in it. Just like my 4825SX, this came with an upgrade I'm keeping, so that's pretty cool. It also has a Sound Blaster 16 in there, so that's cool too. Any other peripheral info I need to know about? It may not tell me much. Oh, there it is. Oh, Sound Blaster Pro. Well, not even necessarily. It's probably a 16. 2 stereo ports, parallel port. Yeah. It's a pretty bog standard machine, honestly. Like, I mean, this is, you know, PCs were getting generic. Well, since we know the hard drive is too big for the BIOS, that puts us in a spot where we're going to have to take off the cover and take a look inside so that we can get ourselves an XT-IDE Universal BIOS. And I'll skip you watching the setup of the BIOS. There's not really any need for me to cover that. If you want, I'll check out the file that I created after the fact, but you don't need to watch me burn another ROM on this channel. You've seen it 1,000 times. So let's do that. Okay, cover off. This one's a little different than the older low-profile machines, like the 2500 SX25 or the 4825, and that those had screws and it was just a hinge. This slides. There's a metal here goes under a flap on the back of the chassis, and it opens up. But it looks just like a Tandy, you know, part, but a little different, and it's got the same old Tandy labels in there. And then on the top here, this essentially just lifts open. So lifts up. So I just lift it right up, and that's it. And we have ourselves a nice little label there outlining jumper settings and telling you how to take the machine apart. And this is where you can see the kit style design of these. The whole drive tray sled just comes out. These two just lift out. So everything just kind of holds itself together. Let's take a closer look. So without getting all the cards out here, you can see I've got 2 of the 4 SIM slots populated there. They are 72-pin SIMs. I think this thing will go to 32 megs of RAM. It's got 16 in it right now. See my overdrive processor with heatsink under there, poorly. There's my Sound Blaster card, CT1680. And then underneath that is the interface card for the CD-ROM drive. Let's take a look in the back here. We've got a bunch of the usual cables and things, but you know, nothing too remarkable. It's your standard Tandy board. But as I was mentioning before, yeah, the power supply may be generic, but there's a Tandy part number. Same with the floppy drives, right? Tandy barcodes, Tandy part numbers. And the same even goes on the Sound Blaster card. Here, I want to move you slowly so I don't make you all sick. This was part of the machine when it was shipped. So because of that, it's got a Tandy style printed barcode and label on it, which again, really just kind of lends credence to the notion that the machine, the label on the door changed, but it is at its core a Tandy computer. You know, AST made it, but otherwise, you know, it's got an extra bay for another 3.5-inch floppy drive down here. That's actually where the hard drive currently is, and that hard drive is under there. With this in mind, let's get the network card in it. I've got the ROM burned and ready to go, and we're going to plug this in and see if we get the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. Alright, here's my card. It's got a BNC end. Actually, it's got all 3 connectors on the end of it. That's fun. Okay, before we put the machine back together, this card should be ready to show me the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. I configured the card in another system. It should be using free resources, so I don't even care if it works as a network card right now. As long as it sees the option ROM, we're good. So let's do that. Alright, this one's going to be without the video capture, so you're just going to have to deal with the flicker. But when we move on, if this works, then we'll set up the fancy pants setup and go from there. Okay, here we go. Actually, I want to go to setup. Make sure we press F2. Okay, I want to turn off the drive. I should be able to do this with none. Alright, let's see what we get. It's actually going to do the memory test count this time. Ooh, there we go. Perfect. Of course, it's not going to find anything to boot from, but at least now we know the BIOS is set up, I've got it configured correctly, and the ROM is visible. So, get this machine back together, and then I am going to restore this to out-of-the-box Tandy style or AST style software by running the installation CD-ROM on it. And let's get to that. Here we are all back together again, ready for action, as they say on Family Feud. And of course, as a reminder, I have my very official MS-DOS 6 startup disk and my Tandy Multimedia PC restore disk, which are both very important. So let's give this thing a good power up. And I'll flip this over to video capture so you can take a look at what's going to happen here. And while this thing is booting up, a couple of notes. This is not the original CD-ROM that came in this machine. I don't even think the controller might be, but I don't know. But either way, this is not the original CD-ROM, so I caught A in time. So I'm going to be using a Oak CD-ROM driver from Windows 95. So I just hit F5 right now. I'm going to bypass the startup files because this disk isn't partitioned, so why wait for the CD-ROM drivers to load to then just immediately reboot after I partition the disk. So here we go. On this drive, in looking at this CD-ROM, it's got MS-DOS 6.0 files on it, so that's what we're using. I made a system disk, and then I copied, of course, Oak CD-ROM from the Windows 95 CD, MSCDEX from the same Windows 95 disk, floppy disk, and then a couple of other utilities I would need just to kind of get things going. So let's do this. Let's fdisk the drive. And we're going to see that there are, in fact, no partitions. So we're going to create a DOS partition, create a primary partition. And we're going to wait while it looks at the drive. No, I don't want to use the maximum size. It wouldn't use all 3 gigabytes anyway. It would only use 2. But that's still too much. We're going to do 512 megs. OK, we've created the partition. Let's set it active. OK. And reboot. And Control-Alt-Del, and we're going to reboot the machine. Now this time around, I'm going to let the CD-ROM drivers load. So the utilities I selected on the diskette while this thing boots were taken when I took a look at the batch file that begins the installation to get the drive, the hard drive, kind of back to factory state. It's not a very complex script, but it used a couple of DOS utilities, so I wanted to make sure I had those available to me. And we'll take a look at that script as soon as this thing is done. OK, so now I should be able to format C:, and /S. We'll just transfer system over to it. All data on non-removable disk drive C will be lost. Would you like to proceed with the format? Yes, I most certainly would. While we're waiting for this format to complete, it is in fact a nice evening, so we have a nice wine, because, well, classic computers and classic wine in this case, it's still a winning combination. This is a pairing made in heaven. Nice dark wine. Nice light Tandy computer. They go together. That's tasty. It's a local winery. And boy, that's tasty. OK, we're just about there. It'll copy the system files over. I'm going to do MS-DOS 6. OK, so now I should have C drive. I do. All right, let's copy our files from drive A, and you'll see why I need to do that in just a minute. And we're all copied. OK, let's take a look at this install script, because the core of this script is pretty straightforward, so I'll just walk you through it, and you can see why I chose the utilities I did. So first thing we'll do here is just go to drive D, and we'll look around. Actually, we'll do that with /P. OK, so we have some things that I know what they are and some things that I don't. MS Works is clearly Microsoft Works. I wonder if MWin is Windows. I don't know. But the drive's kind of original state is in the original directory. So this is basically what the root of the drive should look like when we're done. And this is all, there's no README file or anything here. So I'm just going to look for the bat file, which is start.bat. And we'll edit this. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, hold on, I don't have DOS key installed. I also don't have MS-DOS installed, so I have no path set. And this is a pretty straightforward script. I mean, it comes down, sets the drive to D, and then looks for a particular file. And then if it doesn't find it, it goes to E, then F, and then just says, didn't find anything, boot, exit. Otherwise, it gives me a little ominous looking message, changes the drive to C, and then changes to the root directory. So this is why I copied those utilities to the root of drive C, because everything else here, there's an X copy, and there's another X copy, and there's an attrib, and another X copy, and all of these things are expecting the utilities to be in the root in C, because I have no path, I have nothing installed. Not sure if the basic setup disk that came with this machine originally would have addressed this situation, or if its path would have been such that this would have worked. I could have just put them in the path, but honestly copying to the hard disk is faster. So that's what we're going to do. So I think we are ready to go. We have a C drive, we have our utilities there, we're loading command com from the floppy again. So I'm going to go d:\start. And here we go. This batch file will restore the files on C to their condition at the time of computer purchase. Warning, all star.ini, star.group, and other data files will be replaced. Star.ini and star.group files are copied to the saved directory. Press Ctrl-C to stop operation of this batch file. Press any key to continue. Don't you love listening to me read things, folks? Let's press a key. And we're off. Copying CD image to hard disk is really an image. It's really just kind of a directory tree, but hey, whatever. It's copying. We'll come back when this is done. And we're all set now. Files are all copied. 630 files were copied from the CD. So now, let's take a look here at what we've got. We've got my extra utilities. We'll deal with that in a minute. All right, so one of the things I noted was the CD-ROM driver. So if I dir CD-ROM, I can see that there is, in fact, a different driver here. There's even a user guide text. So I'm going to copy. Okay, and I'm actually going to replace, actually, what is the MS-DOS? MSCDEX 31093. They're the same. Okay, so I don't even need to copy it. Okay, now that means we're going to have to edit config sys and fix the CD-ROM driver. Yep, there we are, DD251. Now, I don't know if this load high address is going to work for it, but I'm just going to take a chance. And I don't need anything after the end of this for Oak CD-ROM. Oh, that's right, this isn't Windows. That's not going to work, you dummy. File save. OK, so that should be the only change we have to make. Let's do this. Let's clean up these files. So I think I just have my exe files. Yep. Del format.com. And then we have, let's see here, del oak rom.sys and del edit. Actually, you know what? Edit.com is the Windows 95 one, and I really like it. I can't type today. OK. Now this will give me the MS-DOS. Actually, let's del edit.com. Now this should give me the MS-DOS editor. It's not even there because there's no path. Yep, OK, the old MS-DOS editor. Why keep the original editor, actually? I'll show you. So this is the MS-DOS editor. If I want to open a new file, file open, I get this simple little dialog. Here's the thing. If I go use my Windows 95 version, I have the option to open things binary, and this is really nice. The binary functionality in the DOS 7 editor is fantastic, so I always like to keep a copy. But for the sake of purity, I also like to keep the original MS-DOS editor as well, right? Why? Because I'm weird. Who knows? All right, let's do this. Let's leave the disk in, because we should need it again. I'm going to hit Control-Alt-Delete, and this should boot up as though it were an out-of-the-box Tandy Multimedia PC. So let's do that now. All right, here we go. I don't know what that jump there was. It got stuck at the secondary drive on 170 hex. Okay, there's my Oak driver. Sound Blaster stuff. Okay, we go right to Windows, which makes sense. PCs of this era, right to Windows. Okay, and this is, I guess if you open this thing out of the box, this is what you would be greeted with. A horrendous background, quite frankly. I mean, do we see this here? Like, this is pretty terrible. Let's see if we can fix this, because this is frickin' horrid. Okay, what do we got here? Let's take a look. So we've got our usual 256 color. Actually, that's a good one to try because there's no apply button in Windows 3.1. Because, okay, so we're at least using a decent setting for the driver. Arcade, Arches, Argyle, Cars, these are old Windows 3.1 ones. This one is too, isn't it? Oh, yeah, okay. Back to desktop. All right, I need to use Marble. Tandy 5. Let's see what else is under that, just so Win logo is inside. Okay, so we're going to stick with Tandy 5, and that's pretty fitting, right? I mean, honestly, I get they were gone and nobody cared, but like, that's pretty lame. 16 color bitmap. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, the first thing we have is a multimedia PC with no speakers, right? So how do we rectify this situation? We've got a multimedia PC with no speakers. Let's fix now. So it's time to fix our speakers, and we're going to do it with this magnificent beast, the MMS-10. Tandy's answer to speakers. Actually, I like this. Some folks don't. Some folks don't like the way it sounds, and hey, you know what? Sound is subjective, so you go and you do you. So I'm going to get this thing put under this monitor, and then we'll play with it. Hey, look, Ma, speakers. We have the MMS-10. It's all here and ready to go. And now we're going to see if this thing has multimedia capabilities. I apologize, the screen's a little washed out. But it doesn't matter, you're not going to need to see that anyway because we're going right back to the capture. So, now that we have ourselves some multimedia, first thing I guess we should do is make sure the multimedia works. So, where are my accessories? There are my accessories. Oh, good God. Oh, God, this is a pretty bad arrangement. Window, arrange. Oh, that's even worse. One more time. There we go. I have a tendency to like... Oh, there's a sound mixer. Let's see what that looks like. Well, let's turn this all the way up. Can I test it? Okay, I clicked. I don't know if the test is supposed to do. CD's going all the way up. The source is going to be, sure, mic, I guess. There's a filter, low frequency, high frequency, lock VNR, or LNR, I mean. Okay, and there's an exit with an exclamation point. Because when you want to exit, you want to exit. Also, what's jukebox? Oh, MIDI files. Well, we can jukebox canyon.mid. Okay, you've heard this, lots of other YouTubers like it. Okay, fine, whatever. So we have MIDI. Do we have ta-da? We have ta-da. Well, ta-da to that. Okay, that's good. And we just experienced 2 utilities from this. Okay. So now we have multimedia. Let's bask in some of that multimedia awesome that comes pre-installed on the Tandy Multimedia PC. And the first is whatever the hell Winstall is. Oh, okay. Well, I guess this is the Tandy installed applications we get to go through. America Online, Microsoft Works, the San Diego Zoo presents the animals, Toolworks Reference Library, Toolworks US Atlas, and Toolworks World Atlas. Well, someone was giving it away cheap, and I believe their name starts with Tool and ends with Works. All right, I'm going to leave this up. All right, so let's start with World Atlas MPC.
Welcome to the Software Toolworks World Atlas for Multimedia Windows.
Well, it talks. It looks like a grown-up DOS application, but okay, let's see what we got.
North America.
Ooh.
United States.
Lol. Well, here you go. Cheers to America and that rendition of the national anthem. Okay. How'd you like my overly dramatic zoom? Actually, the zoom out speed I got right. That was what I was trying to do. This is a new camera, and I'm trying to figure out the zoom rate. Anyway, well, that there is our national anthem in some form. What happens if I click a city? I bet it's going to say it.
New York.
Great. And there's a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Population 17 million. Yeah, in 1990 something. Let's see. It's 212 and 718. Oh, daylight savings. Oh, good God. The automatically discredited. This is not a valid reference material. There's no S on savings. It's not a savings account. As I said in my clock setting video, leave the last S off for wrong. Okay. All right. I'm a soapbox. So we've got centimeters. Okay, so it's basically a reference.
Topography of North America.
Ooh, topography of North America. Great. Actually, it's kind of a nice map.
North America.
It says everything, which is weird. There's no text. Okay, what is the stopwatch? I don't know. What's this? I don't know. Okay, well, we can do some searching. Let's do some searching. I can see I can browse categories, or we can type in something. Franklin was not found. As in Benjamin? Okay. Kennedy? Kennedy was not found. Okay. Oh, it's the World Atlas. It's the World Atlas, you dummy. It's not going to have all the United States stuff. Okay, so let's actually look for, now that I remember where I am, Germany. Federal Republic of
Germany.
And of course we have no flag because this is right around the time of reunification. So probably this CD-ROM honestly this is probably the Cold War version with the separated Germany, and they just, you know, yeah, actually the map just kind of shows the reunified Germany, but it doesn't have much. Okay, let's take a look at a West Germany city. Frankfurt. Actually, I was there just shortly after reunification in 1995. I spent a summer in Germany. And yeah, you could tell when you were on the eastern side versus the western side, but you don't care about that. Okay, this is pretty underwhelming. Let's look at the US one. Where are we? Multimedia US Atlas.
Welcome to the Software Toolworks US Atlas for Multimedia Windows.
We're closing the national anthem. Oh, we've got to listen to it. I'm not going to try my dramatic zoom again. Let's just try to click stuff and let it read over the national anthem. So we're going to Wyoming. Oh, there we go. That got it to stop. It has the state anthems. Okay. We're going to Casper. And it looks just like the world one, except that, yeah, it's now those 50 nifty United States. Yeah, okay. Let's search now. Okay, I bet Kennedy's going to be here now. Well, Kennedy International Airport. Kennedy County, Texas. Yeah, okay. Well, it is an atlas.
City.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, actually, so when was this? Can I zoom this at all? Can I do anything?
New York City.
Great. I don't think there's a zoom or anything. Oh, that's too bad. I wanted to see... Oh, interesting. 495 isn't an interstate here yet. It got re-signed. It now is all the way into the Midtown Tunnel. Interesting. Okay. Whatever. Yeah, so that's it.
Northeastern United States.
With topography. What's this?
United States.
Nothing happened. We have graphs, charts. All right, well, I don't know how to use this, and okay, well, we know what this is. Okay, we've got one more Toolworks thing here, right? I think I called it the reference library, though this one lacks any brain. Actually, it doesn't say Toolworks either. Well, let's see what fresh hell awaits. Oh, this will be good. So this is the kind of CD-ROM program you would have had if you had like a pre-MPC system and you got a CD-ROM, like my library had one that our local educational cooperative put in there for a few months. And again, DOS-based text thing. It was actually a Tandy 3000 HL. But anyway, you don't care about that. Let's browse. Oh, it does beep. Oh, it beeps through the PC speaker. How nice. Table of contents. Oh, it's on spelling or thesaurus. Oh, desk reference. There we go. Now we should be able to table of contents. Clocks, measuring time. Okay. Sundial may be the oldest device for measuring time. Going back to, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Quick browse. Table of contents again. Well, we've got weights and measures, mass, holidays. Okay. Ooh, this one's controversial now. I'm not here for controversy, folks. I'm just calls them as I sees them. Easter Sunday, March or April. Ah. I mean, it does give you a way to save to file, so if you're trying to... Pan American Day, May Day, Armed Forces Day. That's a day. Oh, United Nations Information Center. Ballpoint pen. Oh, I see. So we have, like, important... Can I page up and down? Oh, yes, I can. Okay. Okay. Let's go history. Navigate. Let's quit browse. Oh. Maybe I need to do it now. Okay, now let's try this. Okay. Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay. Can I search? I sure can. For what will I search? Let's see if the person whose mark appears on this computer appears in here. No matching. Okay, I want a new search. Fine, fine. Just to even the playing field here. No matching items. See? All right. Even the Silicon Valley equivalent of Jesus isn't in there. All right, what else do we have here? All right, I'm going to search for an actual name here. Yeah. John Logie Baird Television. Hey, there we are, John Logie Baird. All right, view that. All right. Who in 1926 demonstrated the first practical television in London and 2 years later made the first transatlantic television transmission. And I know this because I watched The Secret Life of Machines back in the day, which, by the way, Tim Hunkin has a YouTube channel called The Secret Life of Components, and if you're not watching it, you should be, because anybody that's watching this channel probably has that layer of depth. Okay, well, this here is underwhelming, but hey, it had John Logie Baird in it, so it gets points. What else do we have? Well, we've got Microsoft Works, and this looks just like Microsoft Works. Can I type in Microsoft Works? Hello, you rummy buzzard. I sure can. You know what, we're going to save that. Let's go. Actually, file save. I'm just going to do it my way, damn it. Oh, I put the backshot slash in there, but it didn't change the path. It just saved it as temp WPS, probably in the root directory. Whatever. Don't care. Goodbye. What else do we have here? We have America Online. Let's open that. Let's see what version of AOL comes on this thing. I feel like I'm ready to dial in. Okay, I'm going to cancel. I can confirm my telephone setup. 2400 baud modem, COM1. Okay. So let's see. We have a setup for locations, edit location. I can get my phone numbers and stuff. SprintNet, TimeNet. Man, you can see the old PC link, and before that, Quantum Link roots in here. Oof. Anyway, cancel. Let's see. About America Online 1.0 Rev 30. Okay. We didn't have America Online. We had CompuServe for a while. I don't know why I clicked that and not exit. I am sure I want to quit. Okay. We also have, hello, anything good in the games department? No, just Solitaire. Minesweeper. How about VGA Utilities? Ooh, SetRes. I wonder why these are grayed out. I hate large fonts on Windows. 65535, let's do that. So like I mentioned, this machine should have local bus video. The Model 10, the MMPC Model 10 didn't. This should. So, you know what? We can test that. Let's, hold on. You don't have save settings on Exodon? No, you don't. Okay. So to test that out, we're actually going to put a couple of multimedia pieces of software on here from Microsoft, because this is clearly a machine meant for the reference hawk, the reference enthusiast in us. Therefore, we must continue the theme, at least for the purposes of this video. We'll come back to this machine for sure, but we've already fooled around long enough, I think. So, in the typical Windows 3.1 fashion, when you don't know what to do, you just run d:"setup or whatever your CD-ROM drive letter is, and there's no d:"setup. Alrighty then, let's go to File Manager and find out what is on there. Oh, it's just an application called Wine. I will Wine. This, my friends, is the Microsoft Wine Guide. Because Microsoft did in fact release a wine reference guide. And it's going to tell us all sorts of great stuff. It wants me to restart Windows. Okay. Okay, we're up. Oh, let me do this. I'm going to close these windows. All right, since this is save settings is off, little trick for you kids playing with Windows 3.1 these days. If you turn off save settings, but you want to save the current state of the windows in your icon arrangements, File, Shift Exit Windows. You see I got a brief hourglass there, and then Windows is not exited. That's because it saves your settings and continues. Okay, now, Wine Guide. And we're not going to play this too long on here. I just want to make sure that it works. Okay, so let's see what Oz has to say here. And my test for local bus video, and this is an unofficial test that I just made up in my head, is that generally when the screen's moving under the mouse, it tends to flicker. My assertion is that if the video-ish plays under this without flickering the mouse, that's at least some sort of acceleration, and probably aided by local bus video. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Oz Clark. Welcome to the Microsoft Wine Guide. I want to show you the glittering showcase of wines the world contains today. And it's a world that's open to all of us. It's no longer necessary to be well-traveled or rich or well-connected to catch a glimpse of the glorious flavors wine is capable of. There's never been a better time to be a wine drinker. There's never been more good wine around to be tried, and it's never been as affordable as it is today. So please, use our guides to expand your experiences and horizons, and your pleasures, in this, the golden age of wine.
Well, you got that right, Oz. I don't know if this is in here. Okay, so we have that, and we're going to do one more multimedia thing. And we're not going to explore this one because I'm thinking about going and using the Wine Guide with this computer and actually doing buying some of the products that are listed in this and tasting them and comparing them to their 1990s counterparts using this machine. And we'll fancify it up. I'll do this my way. You know that. So let's leave this on the back burner for now, pull out the disc, and then our next contestant here on the Multimedia Price is Right is Encarta 95. And as you can see, it is a nice pressed CD. I have one of these, actually. Encarta 95. It's an OEM copy, which is the copy that we had because it actually came with a computer that my mom got for work, bundled. Okay, so now we're going to try this again. Typically, in Windows 3.1, when you don't know what to do, you run dcall and setup. Hey, look, this time it worked. And I would like to install Encarta. And my name is TJB Chris from the Wine Drinkers Association of America. And I'm an OEM install. I don't know what it is, but there's still something fun about being in setup and watching, having this blue screen kind of take over. I don't know. It's brings back a lot of good memories. I spent a lot of time staring at these screens, fixing people's computers. And I'm going for faster execution, copy files onto the hard drive, because why not? We're updating multimedia system files. The fact that this is updating is going to make me happy that I installed the Wine Guide first, I bet. I'm going to have to make sure that still works when this is done. Why did it update write.help? OLA2 stuff? Wow. Bunch of stuff in Windows System. Oh, updated a bunch of multimedia stuff too. Interesting. Just going to profile my display again. And it's successfully set up, and it's probably going to want to restart. No, it's not. Okay. I think I'm going to restart. Shift exit. Just because it did update a whole bunch of stuff under the covers. Watch me regret this. I didn't, but that still, I don't know if you can hear it through the mic, but it almost sounds a little wavery on the sound, like it's like underwater or something. Okay. Oh, whatever. Here we go. And let's run Encarta. We'll just take a look at this. Now, this machine has a lot more it can do with a local bus video and a 486 DX4 overdrive processor in it. This thing has a lot of potential as a higher-end 486 machine, honestly. So this thing actually might become my new game night machine, and the 4825SX might come back, just because that has more stuff on it for me in the computer room, and I can really game night this thing out. Okay, that's enough of that. So let's look at features, right? Because I mean, it's your typical, you can find. Let's type in Tandy. I think Tandy will be in here. James Napper Tandy. Oh, that's a good find. I didn't look at the other things that were in there, but James Napper Tandy, Irish Revolutionary. And Jessica Tandy. Okay. What if I type in, is your TRS-80 in there? There is not. Well, at least not in that. Okay, so whatever. We don't care about that. Media gallery. Let's go look at some media. And I'm going to find, because this is multimedia, I mean, we've got sounds. I got to be careful what I play, though. A.A. Milne from the now public domain Winnie the Pooh. And if it's copyrighted, I'm going to stop it.
Wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh and me. Whatever I do, he wants to do. Where are you?
Okay, just so I don't get nicked. Albert Einstein.
I believe that Gandhi's views were the most enlightened of all the political men in our time. We should strive to do things in his spirit, not to use violence in fighting for our cause, but by non-participation in anything you believe is evil.
Okay. Cool. All right, what else do we have we have animations. All right, let's try this. Air traffic control. That's a sound. I don't want sounds. Battle of Bunker Hill, British invasion. Compact disc. Oh, give me that.
A compact disc, or CD, is a plastic disc containing a thin metallic layer that's used for storing large amounts of information. The most popular use for CDs today is for recording and playing back high-quality sound.
And here comes my copyright strike. I'm going to talk over this until it starts talking.
A high-precision laser beam is used to burn microscopic pits in the thin metal layer of a master disc. The pits are laid down in patterns that can be read by a compact disc player. Thousands of CDs can be made from a single master disc. A CD player contains a low-power laser and high-precision lenses and mirrors. A servo motor positions the optical elements to a track on the disc. The laser directs a narrow beam of light onto tracks of the spinning compact disc. Along a track, regions with pits scatter the light differently from regions without pits. The sequence of regions represents the sound information. A photodetector picks up light scattered from the pits and sends a signal to a microprocessor, which converts the signal to sound. The same technology that is used for sound can be used for storing other kinds of digital information as well, including computer programs, pictures, and animations. When used for multiple purposes, the discs are often called CD-ROM, or compact disc read-only memory. A compact disc, or CD, is a plastic disc containing a thin metallic layer.
Ha, that's interesting. It fades out. I'm going to click the random button and see what happens. Okay, maybe not. Actually, so folks, you know, again, for the younger folks watching, this is what multimedia meant. The videos everywhere, that was barely a thing. In fact, let's show you the kind of videos, and this, by the way, was kind of revolutionary for us, those of us who grew up in the 80s and such. Having any kind of video on a PC, I mean, now you a little tablet or phone thing you pull out of your pocket, but it wasn't always that way. Let's watch a cheetah run. Okay. And of course, if your machine wasn't fast enough to run it all big, you could do the basketball here in the small window.
So, you want to play some basketball? Fast-paced and action-packed. Basketball is one of the most popular sports in the world, to play and to watch.
Yes, it is. Let's see, we have a chick hatching, we have a cell division, we have a germinating seed. I'm sure this will be riveting. Kind of cool. But also somewhat, well, I'm not watching the hatching snake. Okay, you get the idea. And of course we have categories of things, physical science and technology. And on the side here, ooh, Alaska oil pipeline, that's just a picture. And let's just enlarge that. That there is the Alaska pipeline, at least as it looked probably sometime in the early 1990s. And that would be the, Encarta. So I guess in one sense, if you were doing a book report or some other thing, you might be happy to have it, I guess. Oh, actually I want this, and I want to do File, Shift Exit, make sure I didn't leave myself in a spot. And so that's what came on this machine. Oh, actually, we didn't look at the animals yet. I almost forgot. So let's pull out the Encarta disk. My one pressed, actually official, but still OEM in a computer. It didn't come with disk. And which of you is my... Oh, that's the wine guide. There we go. Let's put the Tandy Multimedia disk back in, because I'm going to assume that it's on there. Let the drive do some spinning. Okay, animals. All right, let's see what we have here. Can't find picmedia.dll. Okay. Came up like 6 times. Error reading data files. Reconfigure the animals. All right. Let's go look at the animals. Where are we? Animals. Oh, we have animals exe, which is what I ran. We've got definitely not that DLL. Oh, there's an Init file. Let's look at that. Okay, it says where it is. The DLL path, see animals. Oh, interesting. I mean, there are a couple there, but that's concerning. Window size equals 0. That's also uplifting, and there's nothing else. Okay, well, that tells us next to nothing. All right, so let's go look for this file elsewhere. Okay. Pick something, start nothing. Okay. Oh, I don't have DOS key. There's nothing. Let's try drive D. If I find the file, I'll copy it down to C and see if it works. Nothing. Well, in the everything doesn't always go to plan department, I guess this kind of takes it, yep, everything doesn't always go the way you want. But that's how the cookie crumbles. I'm guessing that means there was another CD that came with this that I am lacking. So I guess I can look around online and see if maybe I can find it. I don't know. And that's going to do it for the Tandy Multimedia computer, the MMPC Model 20. As you can tell, this was a bridge machine. It bridged the pre- and post-exit of the computer business from Tandy Corp, but it is at heart a Tandy computer, at least in my mind. If you feel differently, I'd love to hear that. In the meantime, I'm TJB Chris, and we'll catch you next time. It probably won't be an MS-DOS thing. I think I have another brief Model 16 project we'll talk about here, but we're coming back to this machine because I really do want to do that wine guide thing. I think it would be fun to pair tannins and tandies and see how the Microsoft Wine Guide teaches us how to drink wine, how to experience it, and we'll fancify it up, put our pinkies up, deck out the room, and maybe I'll dress up in something nice. So that's going to do it. Until next time, I'm TJB Chris. Thank you so much for watching.